It's 4 o'clock, the headlines live on 7 News. A fire at the Corio refinery sends shockwaves across the nation. Harry and Meghan's final day in Melbourne will take you along for the ride. And the stakes are high at the MCG. We're counting down to Carlton and Collingwood on Thursday night football.
This is Melbourne's 4 p.m. news with Mike Amor.
Good afternoon. First at 4, the impact of a fire at the Corio oil refinery is set to hit hard. The blaze is now out after a gas leak sparked an explosion late last night. We'll have special coverage throughout the hour. We begin with Jacqueline Stanley live in Geelong. And Jack, there's a lot of work happening there right now.
And a lot of investigations, Mike, into exactly how this gas leak happened. Both state and federal governments are urgently trying to work out what the flow and effects will be, especially when it comes to the price at the Bowser. Take a look at these pictures, though. Unbelievable that the refinery is still partially operational today, but it has sustained significant damage. The fire kicked off around 11 p.m, a ferocious fire taking hold not long after that gas leak was detected by internal safety teams. It was extremely dangerous for the 50 staff on scene. Explosions, flames towering into the air. Residents who live around the refinery were understandably frightened too. A sleepless night for many here in Corio, north of Geelong. Authorities today thankful that no one was injured or killed before or during the 13-hour firefight.
Flames were higher than the flare, as you can see. That it was pretty big, pretty intense.
Yeah, extremely tired.
How was it?
Oh yeah, it's there's a fair bit going on there.
Just roaring, and then like booms. And then people were on my phone saying, oh my God, I'm so scared. What's going to happen? Because we've got new people in the street. They were saying, oh, is anybody scared? Like, is it going to blow up?
It's pretty bloody big. We had about 50 workers in there when it happened. There were some workers that were pretty close to the action and had to run from it. To see something of this scale and to get the news that nobody was injured is probably the best news we're going to hear all year.
It's very early in terms of assessments on production. It doesn't help. That is true. It will impact on production. At this point, petrol rather than diesel and jet fuel. But we're going to continue to really work closely with Viva, the company, and really monitor and work together on any impacts.
And this emergency could not come at a worse time, Mike. 120,000 barrels come out of this refinery on a daily basis, one of just 2 in the country that are operational. FRV has told them that operations must cease if community or worker safety is compromised again. The message from Viva is the situation is still extremely dynamic.
Jacqueline Stanley. Jack, thank you. We'll come back to you later in the hour. Despite the destructive blaze that's ravaged its Geelong refinery, there is some positive news for Viva Energy today. Anthony Albanese says the company has secured 2 new shipments of diesel totalling 100 million litres. That's with the assistance of a new scheme enabling the government to underwrite fuel purchases. The news confirmed in Malaysia, where the Prime Minister is wrapping up his Asian fuel campaign.
Additional fuel can be directed to where it is needed most, including to our farmers.
The 2 shipments bought by Viva will come from Brunei and South Korea. Now to the final day of Harry and Meghan's Melbourne tour. The Duke and Duchess delighting royal fans around the city today, and our own Paul Dowsley has been following their every move.
It's the Duke and Duchess's final morning in Melbourne, and they started early just next to the Yarra River with a walk with some local Indigenous leaders learning about the history of Australia. Harry and Meghan spent around 45 minutes listening intently to information about several Aboriginal installations at Birrarung Ma behind Federation Square, both asking plenty of questions of their guide. It wasn't an advertised event, so there were no big crowds, but still dozens of people who happened to be walking past stopped when they saw the Duke and Duchess, stunned, as you would imagine, to see a prince right there. Some fans managed to get photos with the pair, and somehow this fleeting, friendly encounter for a selfie was falsely turned by one media outlet into an awkward ambush that supposedly sparked chaos. In reality, Harry was warm and friendly, enjoying our smiles, and he also gave me some fashion feedback. Good to see you smiling too, mate.
You're always smiling. Of course. Good to see you. I love your tie.
Oh, thank you, mate. Later at Swinburne University, he was again happy to engage and hose down others' fake news. What's your message to the people who have come to see you?
Look at you. Paul, your name's Paul, right?
It is Paul.
You're still smiling.
Are we friends?
Yes, we are.
The trip to Swinburne at Hawthorn was again tied to mental health, which has been one of the themes for this trip, along with veterans and children's health. And again, a crowd that was there, they found out at the last minute. There were some happy students and teachers, which was at odds with such negative comments that the Duke and Duchess receive on social media.
Oh, we shook hands. We got a handshake.
How was that?
Oh, we're best friends. Yes, she's coming round for dinner. We had a connection.
It's just the craziest thing. I was not expecting to see Prince Harry this morning.
It's understood in the next few hours they will be heading to Sydney. Meghan has an engagement at a women's weekend retreat where she is said to be earning hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A man has been charged after a neighbourhood dispute turned violent in Wangaratta. The 29-year-old is accused of stabbing a 54-year-old woman, leaving her with critical injuries. He's facing multiple charges, including assault with a weapon, intentionally causing injury and theft. Arsonists had targeted the Emerson nightclub in South Yarra, the latest in a series of fire bombings at Melbourne entertainment venues. Police and fire crews were called to the Commercial Road establishment around 4:20 this morning. Witnesses had told officers a dark-coloured vehicle was seen leaving the premises. No arrests have been made. And a pilot has survived after crashing his plane into a paddock into the New South Wales Southern Highlands. The 58-year-old man was the only one on board when the aircraft crashed, splitting in half around 7:45 this morning. Paramedics treated him at the scene for leg injuries before he was airlifted to hospital. Meteorologist Jane Bunn joins us now. Jane, a bit going on out there. We just heard thunder in our Dockland studio.
Well, the change arrived just 10 minutes ago, Mike, after a quick taste of summer-like weather. It reached 25 in the city, but that wasn't to last. Showers and local thunderstorms crossed the south first around an hour ago. They have come northwards, hitting the city just before 4 o'clock. Now, directly underneath, you certainly know about it as the wind howls, the rain pours, the thunder rumbles and the temperature drops. Now, that leaves us with a cold night ahead. We have showers continuing to push through. So it'll be changeable at the footy, wet, dry, about 16 degrees for much of the game. Those showers continue tomorrow, clearing for your Friday night. Then it improves as the weekend goes on. I'll have more a little later. Mike.
OK, thanks, Jane. And thank you for being with us on this very busy news day. Coming up, new reaction coming in live from the fire at the Corio refinery. The Albanese government pulls the trigger on a big boost to defence spending. And the countdown is on to Thursday night footy. It's traditional rivals, the Blues and the Pies. We're live to the MCG. We're just getting started on this Thursday afternoon. Developing now on 7 News, a fire at the Corio oil refinery is out. We're told the overnight blaze was sparked by a leak, which then led to an explosion. Crews worked through the early morning hours to contain the emergency. For more reaction, I'm joined by Ronnie Hayden, State Secretary for the Australian Workers Union. Ronnie, first of all, I guess the most important thing is all the workers, all your members are okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon it's the best news we're going to hear all year. Having something like this happen and then hear that all our members were safe, all workers were safe, you can't ask for a better outcome.
It was a massive explosion, wasn't it?
Absolutely. We're waking up. Our organisers got a call about midnight. They got there about 1 o'clock. And just to step up in front of that was something that you never want to see again.
How close a call was it for the people, the workers that were there at the time?
Look, when you look at something this big, it was very close, but the good thing is that our members are well trained. They're trained to deal with this. They train like every day to follow these procedures that when something goes wrong, you just get in and get it fixed. I truly believe it was because of that training and the calm thinking of our members that this ended up the way it was. It's not lucky that someone didn't die. It's because there was a lot of work put into making sure they could contain it.
Ronnie, early in the investigation I realised, but do we know more about the cause? We keep hearing that it was a leak.
Look, we're hearing the same. We're hearing it was a leak and then it ignited, but we don't have that information. I think it's best to hold off and wait until we get an exact outcome of that, and then we can deal with it when it comes up.
How long do you think it's going to be before that refinery is back up and running, do you think?
Look, how long's a piece of string? But early estimates would be a couple of months. We still know that they'll be able to produce. So whether that's at 80%, 70%, we don't know. But membership are telling us that in order to get this fixed, it's going to take a while.
Are you confident it will be safe once it's up and running again?
Absolutely. We have a very strong safety team in there. We've always got blues with the company to make sure that it's safer, and we'll put a strong focus to make sure that we're part of the team that bring this back online in a safe manner.
Ronnie, I'm not sure it's the union's opinion on this, but we only have 2 refineries in this country. Is that enough, do you think?
No, it's not. Not even close. But you're right, it's not my call on that one.
Okay, once again, I'm so glad that all the members, all the workers down there are safe. That's the main thing. Ronnie Hayden, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
The Albanese government has announced a major boost to Australia's defence spending as global unrest escalates. Live to political reporter Isabel Mullen in Parliament House. Izzy, what is the Defence Minister promising?
Good afternoon, Mike. Well, Richard Marles is promising the biggest peacetime increase in defence spending in our nation's history, $53 billion over the next 10 years. Defence spending currently at 2.8% of GDP. Now, the Defence Minister insists our strategic environment is deteriorating as China deepens and strengthens its relationship with Russia. That is a big problem for Australia, primarily because of our geography, where we're situated in the world inside the Indo-Pacific. Richard Marles insisting today that the rules-based order is under intense pressure.
Australia faces its most complex and threatening strategic circumstances since the end of World War II. The Albanese government is pursuing every avenue of increasing defence capability quickly. All nuclear weapon states are growing their arsenals once more, with the biggest growth occurring in China. We may be at the foothills of a new nuclear arms race.
A worrying trend as strategic competition heats up between the United States and China. The US, of course, one of our biggest defence allies, and China, our largest trading partner. Angus Taylor, the opposition leader, speaking to the media and providing these comments before Richard Marles gave his National Press Club address.
What we've seen so far is it's an exercise in creative accounting. Well, creative accounting does not defend a single Australian. Creative accounting does not defend our country.
Angus Taylor insists defence spending needs to be at 3% of GDP. Richard Marles saying today, Mike, that we'll get there by 2033.
Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Izzy, good to see you. Thank you. Well, it's going to be a massive night at the MCG. Beck Maddern is there, and it's 2 arch rivals facing off, Beck.
Good afternoon to you, Mike. Yes, there is always so much riding on this game between Carlton and Collingwood. So much of the field as well. Kate Massey is with the fans outside the gates. Kate, I hope you've just kept dry. There was a big downpour moments ago. These are certainly the games that just mean so much, don't they?
They do, Beck, these arch rivals. Everyone wants to win this game. They want their team to win. As you mentioned, the rain, it has just held off, but these are the very committed fans who were willing to brave it for their club. Now, I found a pair of brothers who are actually rivals of their own. They're born a year apart. Tell us how this came about. Why don't you support the same club?
My dad went for Collingwood and then Mum went for Carlton.
And I just picked the right club. So
yeah, exactly.
So one each. Mum got one, Dad got one. And tell me, what do you think? What's the result going to be tonight?
I think Dacos will kick goal after the siren to win.
Blues by 60, I reckon. Humbly.
What do you think of Vossi? Does he need to win this game?
Yeah, I reckon he does, but he's probably not going to, unfortunately.
Okay, you've got to hear first. He's not backing in his own club. Good luck to you guys. So hopefully you get the win. We know that the Blues, they've only won one game so far this year. He's already stitched them up. He doesn't think his own club's going to win. Hopefully a lot more Blues fans will be cheering for their boys tonight. Back to you, Beck.
All right, that is surprising. Thank you so much, Kate. Also coming up a little later in the bulletin, a few big selection calls ahead for the Bulldogs, but they've ruled a line through one star, and why the future of live golf hangs in the balance. I'll be back very shortly with Mitch Cleary to chat about tonight's big game here at the MCG.
The rain's following you around, Beck. OK, hopefully it holds off. Thank you. There's been a new legal blow for the 3 men convicted over the Bali murder of a Melbourne man. Details next. Plus the luxury hotel offering next-level pet pampering. Do you have a story to share? Send us a note, melbourne@7.com.au. Taking a look at our wonderful city from the 7 News chopper this Thursday in between the forecasted showers. Thanks for spending your afternoon with us. Australia's unemployment rate has remained steady, in one of the first snapshots of our economy after the breakout of the Iran war. The official figure at 4.3% over March, but economists are warning the worst of the economic impact of the war is still yet to come. The 3 Australians convicted over an underworld shooting in Bali have had their sentences extended. They were convicted of murdering a Melbourne man who was shot dead in a case of mistaken identity. More from Asia editor James Carmody.
Good afternoon. An appeal judge with the Indonesian High Court has handed an extra 5 years to Sydney man Darcy Jensen for his role in planning and logistics for the murder, taking his sentence from 12 years to 17, while the 2 Australian gunmen, Paya Tepo and Mevlut Koskun, have each been given 2 extra years behind bars, taking their sentences from 16 years to 18. The men were initially convicted and sentenced last month over the June 2025 late-night ambush shooting in a villa near Canggu. The gunmen fled but were caught several days later and admitted at trial that they got the wrong person. The real target had been the victim's friend Sanar Ghanem. Instructions and promise of payment had come from an unnamed man in Australia to threaten Mr Ghanem over an alleged debt. Sanar Ghanem, who had previously been linked to Melbourne's underworld, was also shot and bashed in the villa attack, but survived. Zafan Radmanovic's wife, Jasmine, who witnessed his murder, had slammed the initial sentences as inadequate and a joke. Today, in a statement, she thanked the appeal judge, but maintained the upgraded sentences were still not good enough.
I am now raising our 6 children on my own while continuing to grieve the loss of my husband and relive the night he was so violently taken from us.
We'll have the latest in 7 News at 6.
Now it's time to go around the world in 80 seconds. Turkey has been rocked by a second school shooting in as many days after a 13-year-old opened fire at a school in the country's south overnight. 9 people are dead and a further 13 injured, with students jumping from windows to escape. It's suspected the student was carrying 5 guns in his backpack. He turned the gun on himself. A Russian strike on an apartment building in Ukraine's port city of Odessa killed 1 person and injured 6 others. Emergency services were deployed at the scene while residents gathered outside the damaged building as authorities assessed the damage. Pope Leo has met with Cameroon's 93-year-old president, urging the government to root out corruption. The pontiff is on a 10-day tour of 4 African countries. Fashion Week returned to Rio de Janeiro after more than a decade, with its first public event showcasing Brazilian artistry and creativity on the runway. The event is aiming to establish itself as a new international fixture on Brazil's fashion calendar. And Bubba, the French bulldog, is taking luxury pet fashion to sparkling new heights at New York's Baccarat Hotel. Donning a tuxedo vest and a diamond-encrusted collar, it's to mark the launch of the Canine Couture Diamond Experience for guests who want to pamper their pooch just as much as themselves. And that's your trip around the world in 80 seconds. You're looking live at the Corio oil refinery, one of only 2 in Australia where a fire has sent shockwaves across the nation. We'll have the latest next as our special coverage continues. Plus, Harry and Meghan delighting fans on their last day here in Melbourne. And how much would you pay for a nap in a bunk bed on a flight to America? We're live from Melbourne on 7 and 7 Plus. Please stay with us. It's 4:30, live from Melbourne. This is 7 News, our top stories. A fire at the Corio oil refinery has been extinguished, but the impact is sending shockwaves across the nation. Harry and Meghan are delighting royal watchers on their final day in Melbourne. And the stakes are high at the MCG. We're counting down to Carlton and Collingwood on Thursday night footy. Beck Maddern and Mitch Cleary will join us live soon. Let's get back to Jacqueline Stanley, who's monitoring the clean-up in Geelong. Hello again, Jack. The fire is out, but it's not a quick fix.
Hello again, Mike. Certainly isn't. This morning they were able to contain the blaze to a 30 by 30 metre area of the refinery, but it's an extremely sensitive process. Throughout the day they had to do a controlled burn of all the toxic gas left in the facility, slowly releasing it to prevent further explosions. They say this is safe for the public. This is an extremely rare event. The company says that you would have to go back a long time to find an emergency of this scale. Remembering too, this refinery has operated north of Geelong for around 70 years. It was formerly run by fuel giant Shell. The main objective today is to ensure their workers and their families are coping after what was a terrifying night at work. Some workers were a few hundred metres away from the fire and they had to run in the other direction. Their union have been here too, ensuring any workers that have been stood down today are still being paid. But the part that will affect us all is the price of fuel. This refinery supplies 50% of Victoria's fuel and 10% of the nation's. We had another update from the Viva General Manager and FRB about an hour ago. Let's hear from them.
Obviously, we've still got to look into the full extent of the damage as we get better and better access to the scene. We've been operating on this site, or this site's been operational as a refinery for 70 years. That doesn't mean everything on the site's 70 years old. The condition of the equipment that was involved in this event will be definitely part of the investigation.
This is not a positive development. This is not good timing, and this is a setback. But I can assure Australians the government and industry are working very closely together to manage the impacts of this fire and to ensure ongoing fuel security for Australians.
Thanks to the global fuel shortage, Viva were operating this plant at 100% capacity at the time of the blaze, but they don't believe that that has anything to do with it and anything to do with the mechanical fault that sparked the gas leak that led to these enormous explosions. Mike?
OK, thanks, Jack. Now, while the damage is still being assessed, the federal government is warning there will be consequences from the blaze, just as Anthony Albanese locks in fresh shipments of diesel while overseas. Chief reporter Chris Reason has that part of the story.
Good afternoon. The assessment from energy experts is a blunt one. The Geelong refinery fire could not have come at a worse time, with severe implications for consumers, freight operators and aviation, whatever the Prime Minister achieves on his current overseas tour. After visits to Singapore and Brunei, Mr Albanese was in Malaysia today, receiving a full ceremonial welcome before meeting with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, signing a deal to enhance market access, swapping guarantees on oil and fertiliser for meat and agriculture to Malaysia.
The relationship is one which is a benefit to both countries.
We will be mates. I don't know why you use that term. Through thick and thin, as we have always been.
He also announced 2 additional tankers carrying 100 million litres of diesel had been secured from Brunei and South Korea, all critical moves in the wake of the Viva refinery fire in Geelong, which has threatened some 10% of Australia's oil supply. Experts predicting it will mean significant price impacts at the Bowser and an inevitable move to stage 3 of the government's 4-stage National Fuel Security Plan. Not rationing, but the government intervening on where fuel is directed.
But the reality is, whether the government goes to stage 3 or not, we are practically there, because consumers are not driving at these prices. So we're already seeing demand destruction.
The experts are saying even if the Middle East war were to end tomorrow, the implications for oil and petrol supply here in Australia would linger for months. Back to you.
Donald Trump has claimed he will permanently open the Strait of Hormuz for China's sake after the nation agreed not to send weapons to Iran. US Central Command says American forces remain in position and ready to act if anyone tries to violate the blockade. Iran is now threatening trade in the Gulf as the US prepares to send 10,000 more troops to the Middle East. Miley Hogan has the latest from Washington, D.C.
Iran is threatening to retaliate with force if the Americans don't back off and lift the naval blockade of its ports. A military leader in Iran says its forces will attempt to stop trade in the Persian Gulf, Red Sea and the Sea of Oman, arguing the maritime restrictions on its ports are a violation of the ongoing ceasefire. The US claims its blockade is a success, with US Central Command saying no ships have managed to pass and they've turned 10 around, sharing the message: ships here if they try to break through.
If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force.
It comes as the Washington Post reports that the US is sending another 10,000 troops to the Middle East, the US appearing to bolster its resources in the region as President Trump attempts to pressure Iran to make a deal. But as the standoff over the Strait of Hormuz continues, the economic pain is being felt around the world.
This is short-term disruption for the long-term strategic goal of the United States to ensure that the world's leading state sponsor of terror cannot obtain a nuclear weapon.
There's still hope of a diplomatic solution. Mediators from Pakistan travelled to Iran today in an attempt to extend the ceasefire. The White House expressed optimism that talks could end in a deal, but still no face-to-face meetings between Iran and the US have been locked in at this stage, and the ceasefire expires next week.
It's been a long time coming, but after years of waiting, structural works have finally started on the new Melbourne hospital. The $900 million hospital is expected to treat 130,000 patients every year and will feature a much-needed 24-hour emergency department as well as intensive care and maternity facilities. The project is now scheduled for completion in 2029. Turning now to Harry and Meghan's Melbourne tour. It's their final day here in Melbourne. It began by taking in Indigenous culture down by the Yarra. The couple then visited Swinburne University to check out a mental health program. They've been warmly greeted throughout. Paul Dowsley spoke to this lady just after she met the couple.
Buzzing because I got to meet Princess Diana in 1988 when they came out to Sydney for the bicentennial of Australia. So it's like this whole circle of life moment for me.
What did they say to you inside? They were in there for close to an hour?
Yeah, so they were in with the group of students from Batia and they were doing a workshop on mental health and so...
What energy did you get from them? What was the feeling?
They are so lovely. Beautiful people, genuinely care about everybody. So I couldn't have been happier with
this.
What
a highlight. What a way to...
I'm going to retire now. There's nothing more I can do with my job. This is like the top of it.
Good work. Go and get your super out and have a good holiday and go and enjoy the rest of your life.
I'm going to go take my jacket off.
Go and take your jacket off. Well, we'll stop there, I think, but enjoy the rest of your day, Danielle.
Good on you, Danielle. And more coming up from Paul, including his encounter with Prince Harry. You won't want to miss that. That's coming up at 6. A former American Marine Corps pilot accused of unlawfully aiding the Chinese military has lost a bid to avoid extradition from Australia. Daniel Duggan denies allegations he helped train Chinese pilots at a training school in South Africa 14 years ago. The Australian citizen has been in prison for 3 years and, if found guilty, could spend another 65 behind bars in the US. 2 American pilots are in hot water for making animal sounds on the air traffic control frequency. Take a listen.
Meow. Meow. You guys you need to be professional pilots. Meow, 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 meow. This is why you're still flying RJ. Meow. Meow, meow.
Yeah. Their boss, was barking mad. Still flying an RJ means they're still flying regional jets. I'm not sure they're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Sports next with Beck Maddern live from the MCG, including the big Bulldog star ruled out for tomorrow night's clash in Geelong. And Live Golf's future is up in the air. We'll have the latest. We're live from Melbourne on 7plus. Stay with us.
We're told it's clean, we're told it's green, but they never told you this.
So do you think you're being fair?
If you've just joined us on 7 News, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been enjoying the last day at the Melbourne leg of their tour. Prince Harry having plenty of fun with our own Paul Dowsley.
Good to see you smiling too, mate.
You're always smiling.
Good to see you. Oh, thank you, mate. What's your message to the people who have come?
It's you, look at you. Paul, your name's Paul, right? You're still smiling.
Are we friends?
Yes, we are.
Yep. The Prince knew Paul's name. He's pretty happy with himself. We'll have much more in the news at 6. Harry and Meghan aren't the only show in town. The Duke and Duchess of Football are here with Thursday Night Countdown. There's just a bit going on in the football world. Beck Maddern, Mitch Cleary is at the MCG.
Thank you very much, Sir Mike. We are expecting close to 80,000 in here tonight for this massive clash between the Magpies and the Blues. Mitch Cleary, obviously, alongside me. Mitch, I know don't usually do this, but I just want this on the record. A few are out for Collingwood, a few back for Carlton. I like Carlton's chances.
Absolutely. They're 1-4 heading into tonight, but you give them as good a chance as the Pies to win this game in a 2-horse race. And footy's own royal family will celebrate Nick Dacos's 100th game tonight. Of course, Peter, Josh will be here, and what a milestone that is for Nick. So the Pies should be able to lift for him. But Jacob Weitering returns for Carlton. DeGoey goes out with concussion. Steele Sidebottom out with that hip injury. I'm with you. I'm giving the Blues a good chance tonight.
All right, that'll mean they won't win. Now, the biggest issue this week in footy, it's a serious one, has been Zach Butters and his running with the umpire. Port are appealing now. We have not heard the end of this.
If you were sick of it already, wait until Monday, because the Appeals Board hearing is going to be heard 8 days after the incident on Sunday. That's Monday at 5 p.m. We'll bring it to you then. But the Power are taking this to the highest channel that they can, because they feel that Zach Butters didn't say or didn't question the umpire being paid, like was suggested the tribunal found. Back on Tuesday night, they've escalated this. I thought this would be heard tonight. The AFL's been trying to cobble together an appeals board panel, but they're going to wait now until Monday. They couldn't hear this Friday because it was the night before a game. The $1,500 fine stands still. The Power are going to try and overturn that. But it's a fair wait after the incident back on Sunday.
Yeah, indeed. Now, tomorrow night, the Bulldogs have ruled a line through Tim English.
Yeah, they've been waiting all week to see whether he'd get up with that knee injury, but they've just put him on ice for another week. They feel the medial ligament hasn't come up, and Luke Beveridge even hinted today he might miss another week or two after that. So the Dogs have a pretty tricky stretch. They play Geelong tomorrow night, then they've got the Swans at Marvel Stadium, so they need Tim English out there. He's crucially important for them. Ed Richards still 50-50 with his ankle, but Tom Liberatore is good to go with his hamstring, and Aaron Norton, after his hand concern, will play with a glove. So a couple of big inclusions there for the Dogs.
Okay, now Max King back in full training for the Saints.
Fingers crossed we can see more of this, because they need him out there as much as anyone at the Saints. We haven't seen him play since he signed that massive contract extension all the way back in 2024. He missed all of last year, and he's, of course, had so many setbacks this pre-season. But Ross Lyon is bullish. He is on the right track.
We're excited because it's an untapped potential of our list. And, I mean, talk's cheap, but he is getting there. So to answer your question, we'll have that discussion next week with our sports science team. Because it might be like he's ready to go, but do we just give him another week of full training or another 2 weeks? Because you want to set him up for success, because there's a lot of interest in him.
He's a prized asset at the Saints. They need to take every precaution they can with Max King. And just finally, Nazai Wanganeen-Miller left the track with a bit of a niggle today at the Saints. They've set up camp in Adelaide because they played Gather Round, and then they've got the Crows this week. He's a bit of a watch before the match on Saturday against the Crows.
All right, Mitch Cleary, you get to work.
You,
I'll see you at 6 o'clock.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Well, the Matildas completed their FIFA series in Africa with a perfect 2 wins from 2 games. The Aussies defeated a gallant but outclassed Kenya 2-0 in this morning's final.
And Kerr scores! A moment to forget for Lillian Onyango.
A goalkeeping error gifted Sam Kerr the opener before Claire Wheeler sealed victory. Defender Alana Kennedy became just the 5th Matilda to reach 150 international caps. The future of Live Golf hangs in the balance this afternoon, with the Saudi-backed financiers preparing to pull funding from the league. Live executives were late to an event in Mexico City after an emergency meeting in New York. Jacqueline Robson explains.
Well, the rumour mill on a potential collapse has been running wild over the past 48 hours, right on the eve of its Mexico City tournament starting tomorrow. There had been a media call scheduled, and for the first time in Live Golf's 4-year history, that press event was scrapped. The Telegraph saying not a single executive was at the Mexico venue. Instead, they were summoned to an emergency meeting with reports there was a seismic announcement coming. Now the Financial Times is reporting the Saudi Arabia fund backing the tournament is on the verge of cutting its support, saying it's racked up huge losses. But if it does collapse, that has huge ramifications, including for Adelaide, that had locked in Live Golf until 2031. The event last year pulling in a whopping $81 million for the South Australian economy. A collapse may even put a stop to the $50 million upgrade to the North Adelaide golf course that was to accommodate Live from 2028. There's been no official word yet. Players have been left in the dark. There could be an update as early as tomorrow.
Carlos Alcaraz has withdrawn from the French Open lead-up event in Barcelona with a wrist injury. Aussie number one Alex de Minaur blew a golden opportunity to capitalise on Spanish superstar's absence.
And there's a break, and it may be a fatal one.
De Minaur was stunned by Serbia's world number 88 Hamid Medjedovic in the round of 16, going down in straight sets 6-4, 6-3. Going to be a super clash here tonight at the MCG. Just fingers crossed that rain holds off, because there was a nasty shower before. Hopefully we don't get too many more.
And just a reminder to Pies fans that Beck thinks the Blues are going to win, so don't be frightened to give her a bit of feedback when you see her.
Be nice. Thank you. They always give me feedback.
Thank you, Beck.
You don't need to encourage them.
Yeah. Economy class passengers on Air New Zealand will now be able to stretch out in comfort. The carrier is rolling out bunk beds from November. The bunk beds will be available for Air New Zealand flights to New York from Australia and Auckland. There will be 2 sessions per flight to book your bed during the 16-hour long haul to the United States, and will set back travellers around $410 on top of your fare. An Australian study has found eating too much salt could speed up memory loss in men. Researchers tracked more than 1,200 people over 6 years and found men with higher sodium intake had faster declines in episodic memory, the type of memory used to remember things like where you parked your car or what you had for dinner the previous day. Experts say cutting back on salt could be a simple way to protect brain health. Across Victoria, you're watching 7 News. Jane Bunn's up next with the latest on our ever-changing weather.
Never before heard stories of Queen Elizabeth II. Our exclusive chat with the world's most renowned royal biographer. Plus, the Aussie daredevil taking on a sport so extreme, it's banned in Australia. Start with Sunrise.
A live look at the MCG where the gates are about to open. Pre-security checks taking place there. It's a big one tonight. Carlton and Collingwood. You can see it all on 7 and 7 Plus straight after the news at 6. Which of course is with this man, Peter Mitchell. Mitch, it's an enormous news day today.
It is a very big news day. You're right there, Mike. Good afternoon to you. And we'll be leading off with the fire at the Corio refinery. From the cause to the impact, there are so many big questions, and we'll have all the key angles covered. Also, the Duke and Duchess continuing their adventures around Melbourne today on their 3rd and final day of the visit here. You've got to see Paul Dowsley's encounter with Prince Harry, of course. Heartless thieves have stolen from a charity in Melbourne's north. Ainsley Kosh has that story. And an internet wake-up call. The nationwide audit revealing most houses are set up wrong. All those stories and more coming up right after the chase, Mike.
I'll see you then. Thanks, Mitch. Jane returns now. And Jane, what's the latest on our weather out there?
Well, Mike, we have had a burst of showers and local thunderstorms. Now, our brief taste of summer was lovely. It climbed to 25 in a breezy northerly in lots of sunshine, and that was delightful after the gloom we had so far this week. It reached 27 in a few western suburbs and Geelong. Even Mount Dandenong cracked 20 degrees. But it didn't last. The sky darkened, the city tumbled to 19.5 as showers and storms arrived. When you're underneath one, the temperature falls, the wind howls, the rain pours and the thunder rumbles. Then just as quickly, it's back into the dry. Now this here was just the first part. There is more to come this evening, and that's when the chilly air will hit. So right now, most of us are actually dry and mild, but it's cold and showery at the footy tonight. That's still to come. It reached the mid to high 20s across northern and eastern Victoria, but not in the southwest. The showers and local storms hit there first, coming through in 2 bursts. We had a trough and then a cold front. Temperatures drop a little with the trough, while the chill arrives with that front. High pressure moved to our east, letting the sun shine and our temperatures rise, but it didn't last with a trough and front arriving. Now, there is a second trough that is in behind the front, that one back through there. That has the most bitter air, but it only crosses Tasmania, not reaching Victoria this time. The next high will move through this weekend, and there's nothing major close in behind that one. So this time it'll warm up and remain warm for a stretch next week. Around the nation tomorrow, 32 in Brisbane sounds delightful, 29 in Sydney before a late change with showers and storms. Mostly sunny in Canberra, just 14 for Hobart, 21 in Adelaide, generally dry, showery in Perth, the risk of a late storm too. To Victoria, showers across the south and far northeast. It should be dry for the rest of the north after patchy morning fog. Showers are most widespread at the coast with wintry hail, all clearing as the afternoon progresses. It is cool, some, especially Gippsland, as much as 10 degrees less than today. In Melbourne, just 17, showers passing through, easing in the afternoon, dry by your Friday night. More at 6, Mike.
OK, Jane, thank you. And that's the news for now. The Chase is next, then Mitch, Beck and Jane will be here with the news at 6. I'm Mike.